Larry, there's probably drugs wherever you go.
I know that,
when
but
people
are there
want
drugs
things,
in here?
Personally, I couldn't tell you because I'm not involved with
Never
any.
seen it?
I don't.
Peanuts.
Well, we're breaking into that story and welcoming viewers in the United States now to bring you some important breaking news. There's been a certain amount of speculation around for the last 20 minutes or so as far as news wires are concerned that Nouri al-Maliki, the Iraqi Prime Minister, was to make an important announcement. We thought that that was something to do with the final 2 cabinet posts. However, the speculation on the news wires has been that he was going to make an announcement concerning the leader of al-Qaeda in Iraq, al-Zarqawi, and an aide to the Iraqi Prime Minister has told CNN that that announcement will concern the death of the leader of al-Qaeda, Abu Musab, the leader of al-Qaeda in Iraq, Abu Musab al-Zarqawi. So once again, let me repeat that. An aide to the Iraqi Prime Minister, Nouri al-Maliki, has told CNN that the Prime Minister will be announcing the death of the al-Qaeda chief in Iraq, Abu Musab al-Zarqawi. CNN's John Vors is in Baghdad and has been following developments from there for the last hour or so. He's with us now live. John, what more can you tell us?
Well, not a lot at this stage, Adrian. You've pretty much summed it all. There have been a lot of reports around for the last 20 minutes being run on American television as well as state-run television here in Iraq that Zarqawi, the leader of al-Qaeda in Iraq, has in fact been killed. We're being told by an aide to the Prime Minister that the Prime Minister, Nouri al-Maliki, has actually made that announcement, and the actual details around the death of the most wanted man in Iraq still remain unclear. There have been some reports that he may have died sometime yesterday during some kind of explosion or bombing. We're yet to hear more details, but we are hoping for some more details at a press conference that will be attended to by General Casey, the leader of the multinational forces in Iraq as well. That in itself is very unusual, to have General Casey turn up at a press conference with the Iraqi Prime Minister, a press conference which
The alert tones you just heard indicate that your emergency alert system has been activated. The system now being tested is activated for Amber Alerts when children are abducted and investigators wish to enlist your help recovering these children. The National Weather Service and your local public safety officials use the Amber Alert system to warn you of events that pose threats to your life, health, and property. Your local broadcasters volunteer to donate their airtime to bring you these messages. This test message was originated by Oregon Emergency Management.
here in Iraq since they obviously captured Saddam Hussein, and for many within the U.S. administration and within this new Iraqi government, Zarqawi is seen as the biggest obstacle to making progress towards bringing together these factions, these Sunnis and these Shiites and these Kurds together to try and form some kind of working government, some kind of working country, basically. So with Zarqawi's death, if it is in fact true, then that will be a huge success, not just for the United States, but also for this new Iraqi government, now almost 3 weeks old, Adrian.
John, as you said, the news wires have been buzzing for the last 20 minutes or so with speculation as to the nature of the new Iraqi Prime Minister's press conference, which he was scheduled to give anyway. But the speculation began when news of his press conference was announced by the U.S. military.
Yeah, that is very unusual, to have something coming out of the U.S. military spokesman office saying that there'd be a very important statement coming from the Iraqi government. Obviously, something was up. This is a very important announcement, which, just checking on the time, we're expecting any moment now to hear the words actually coming from the Iraqi Prime Minister that quite possibly Abu Musab al-Zarqawi has been killed. And like I said, we're still unclear about the exact circumstances of his death, how, when, where, why. All of those questions will obviously be answered in the hours that lie ahead on what will be a very busy day here and a very happy day for many Iraqis and obviously for many within the US forces. Zarqawi has been their #1 man, the guy they've been after for so long. And obviously his death will be a great relief to them. We're still waiting to find out just precisely what may have happened, what claimed his life. But as I say, they've been after him for quite some time. This will be a big blow to the insurgency and obviously a very happy day for this Iraqi government, Adrian.
Of course, John, this is pure speculation while we wait for Nouri al-Maliki to make this announcement, but there had been a bombing raid yesterday, a US bombing raid on the south of Baghdad, somewhere in south of Baghdad, hadn't there?
Yeah, well, there is that speculation that that is the bombing raid which may have in fact claimed Zarqawi's life. But of course, you have to remember there are bombing raids on a fairly infrequent basis around Iraq. There are airstrikes too on a fairly frequent basis as well. The US actually had claimed to have wounded Zarqawi last year, but those claims were dismissed as he continued to carry out and lead the insurgency here in Iraq. So there have been a number of times when we have been down this road. And you also have to remember too, Adrian, that over the course of the last few years, a number of aides to Zarqawi have been captured. So they have been moving in closer to Zarqawi as the months have gone on. And the video that we saw that Zarqawi issued or released back in April, where we saw his face for the first time, and he was making some very bold statements. There was some speculation then, when that video came out, that Zarqawi was perhaps getting a little bit bolder, maybe a little bit reckless, that he was possibly making some mistakes, that he was sort of getting a little bit overconfident in in his role here in Iraq. Because up until that time, we'd never actually seen Zarqawi's face. There were a few odd photographs here and there, but nothing to actually confirm what Zarqawi looked like. Even if you cast your mind back to that gruesome beheading video of the hostage, Nick Berg, the British hostage, Zarqawi was in that video, but his face had been masked. So there was always this air of mystery about Zarqawi. And then back in April this year, out came that new videotape. You may recall it. It had Zarqawi firing his automatic weapons and looking very much like the military commander, pointing at maps, that kind of thing. So there was speculation when that video came out that possibly he was getting overconfident, maybe even a little reckless. And in days after that videotape came out, the US forces here took great delight in pointing out all the things that Zarqawi was doing wrong, holding the gun incorrectly, touching the hot barrel, that kind of thing, as well as wearing white tennis sneakers as well. So all of this maybe have been moving towards this bombing run which happened on Wednesday, where there is some speculation that in fact Zarqawi may have died in that raid. We're not too sure, Adrian.
Now to Jamie McIntyre, senior CNN Pentagon correspondent, who's on the line now from Washington. Jamie, what can you tell us from the Pentagon?
Well, two Pentagon officials have told CNN that they do believe that Abu Musab al-Zarqawi is dead. They could not tell us any of the circumstances of how that came about. One official cautioned that at this stage it was not clear exactly how the death was confirmed, and he cautioned that there might need to be some, quote, additional forensics done before the United States can be fully confident that the terrorist leader, the leader of al-Qaeda in Iraq, is in fact dead. These officials, though, did confirm that they have this word from Iraq and that they were expecting, as you've reported, the Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki to make the announcement in Baghdad, and that U.S. officials would not be commenting about it publicly until that announcement came from Baghdad. Again, a lot of questions here, specifically if Zarqawi is dead, how did that come about, and how confident are they of that information? We have had false reports before of instances when they thought somebody had been killed, and it turned out later that was not the case. So it's also not clear whether this is a result of a U.S. operation, an Iraqi operation, or a joint operation, or something that was unrelated to that. So officials in Washington really are providing no further details, and just a cautionary note as they await this announcement. But they do believe at this point, they strongly believe that Abu Musab al-Zarqawi the leader of al-Qaeda in Iraq, is dead, and they are awaiting that announcement from the Iraqi Prime Minister and the opportunity to give us more details so that we can have more confidence about what happened. Adrian?
Jamie, if this news is indeed confirmed, it would be good news as far as the administration is concerned, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, it would, because he is essentially the most wanted leader in Iraq today. He's the most wanted man, but nobody is under the misimpression at the Pentagon or in the U.S. military that by capturing or killing Zarqawi would end the insurgency. Not by a long shot. And they do believe that there would be people moving in behind him, perhaps people less capable of a leader, but no one's going to tell you that this is going to break the back of the insurgency. But they do believe that the battle against the insurgency is going to be a long-term battle, and it involves continuing to take out the leaders and to show the insurgents that there isn't any future in continuing to battle the U.S. and Iraqi government forces, and that the future lies with some sort of political reconciliation. So you'll see, I think, a lot of U.S. officials with smiles on their faces today about this development, but I think you'll also see that tempered with the very realistic and sober assessment that this insurgency is not going to collapse overnight.
Jamie, there had been talk that Zarqawi himself, as far as the insurgency was concerned, had been sidelined of late from within.
I think that's another reason to view this with in the proper perspective, that it's not necessarily going to end the insurgency. Some of Zarqawi's more brutal tactics, and particularly his campaign, in which was inflicting a lot of injuries on Iraqi people, were not seen as particularly productive in some quarters. You notice that we've not seen the brutal beheadings on television, televised on videotapes recently, because those tactics were seen as not exactly winning them support among the average Iraqis. There were reports that he was somewhat marginalized. He was still seen, though, as a very effective terrorist leader in his ability to continue to mount deadly attacks against the U.S. and particularly, of late, the Iraqi forces. And if his removal from the scene has come about, as U.S. officials believe at this point, they would see that as a positive development. But again, it's not the end of the insurgency, not by a long shot.
So, Jamie, just for anyone who's joined us and has seen on the screen breaking news, remind us once again what the Pentagon is saying about these reports that Abu Musab al-Zarqawi may have been killed.
Well, in a nutshell, the two Pentagon officials have told CNN that they believe Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, the leader of al-Qaeda in Iraq, the most wanted man in Iraq from the U.S. Perspective, is dead, but they can't provide any details of how that came about. The U.S. government is awaiting an expected announcement from Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, which is expected to be very shortly. And one official, again, cautioning CNN that the Pentagon is not sure at this point how the death was confirmed, and that there might need to be some additional forensics done before they can be 100% confident that Zarqawi is dead. And we also need to get some more details from the U.S. military in Iraq about whether or not it was involved in bringing about the death of Zarqawi. And officials here, and of course it's 3:35 in the morning in Washington, they don't have a lot of details at this hour, but it's significant also that as we called to talk to people this morning, that many of them are up. And the fact that they're up and tracking this at this early hour in the morning indicates the level of attention that's being paid to the reports that he's dead. And again, the belief is that he is dead, according to two Pentagon officials.
Jamie, let me just briefly sum up then, for the benefit, as I said, for anyone who's joined us within the last few minutes, what's been going on here today. For the last 30 minutes or so, the news wires here in newsrooms all around the world have been abuzz with rumor, with speculation that Nouri al-Maliki, the Iraqi Prime Minister, who was due to make an announcement, we initially thought upon nominees for the interior and defense posts within his cabinet, those remaining 2 posts. Suddenly these reports became turned into the fact that Nouri al-Maliki was to make an important announcement. The US military was peddling the fact that there was a press conference due to take place any moment now in Baghdad, and the reports began to speculate that Nouri al-Maliki would be announcing that the leader of al-Qaeda in Iraq, Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, had been killed in some kind of military operation. That's the speculation. An advisor to the Iraqi Prime Minister, Nouri al-Maliki, has confirmed to CNN that Abu Musab al-Zarqawi has indeed been killed, and the Prime Minister has, according to wires, also confirmed that. He hasn't yet told CNN. We will try to confirm that as soon as we can, but according to the news wires, the Iraqi Prime Minister has indeed confirmed that Abu Musab al-Zarqawi has been killed. John Vors, our correspondent, is in Baghdad. We're awaiting, John, that press conference, which was scheduled to begin a few moments ago.
Yeah, that's right, Adrian. Just to confirm what we know here at this end, we're being told by an aide to the Prime Minister that Nouri al-Maliki has, in fact, announced that Zarqawi has been killed. What we are hearing from Iraqi state-run television is quite possibly Zarqawi was killed near the city of Bakuba, that's north of Baghdad. Now, the exact details, as we've heard just from Jamie McIntyre at the Pentagon, remain unclear as to how he may have died. But what we have been given now, at least according to state-run television here in Iraq, is a location. Bakuba is a Sunni area, part of that Sunni triangle area where there's been a lot of unrest lately. Not far from Bakuba over recent days, there's been a lot of reports coming out of there. You may recall the 9 severed heads found in fruit boxes a few days ago. Earlier on Saturday, 8 severed heads were found not far from Bakuba by Iraqi police. So there's been a lot of violence, a lot of attacks around that particular area of the country. And now we're hearing from Iraqi state-run television that that could be the area where, in fact, Zarqawi has been found dead. Adrian?
Nouri al-Maliki has pledged to rein in sectarian and guerrilla violence that are currently plaguing Iraq, John. If this news is confirmed, it would be a particularly pleasing development for both the new Iraqi government and the coalition forces operating in Iraq.
Yeah, absolutely. He is seen as, the most wanted man in Iraq, as well as the most wanted man in Jordan for carrying out a number of attacks in Amman, the bombings at 3 hotels most recently there. He's also carried out bombing attacks from Casablanca to Istanbul, but here in Iraq in particular, he is seen as one of the main instigators of the insurgency, at least as far as the United States is concerned. Sunni leaders, though, have doubted that he is, in fact, even a real person. Muqtada al-Sadr that has questioned whether or not Zarqawi in fact exists, saying that he could be a creation of Israeli and American authorities. So obviously with his death, that will be a big blow to the insurgency. But as we've heard time and time again from the United States, when it comes to the other leader of al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, that al-Qaeda is bigger than just one man. Al-Qaeda and the war on terror is bigger than Osama bin Laden, and surely that theory will also hold true for Zarqawi. While he may be gone, that does not mean the insurgency is over. It certainly means there's been a blow to the insurgency, and this is a win today for the multinational forces, for the United States, and for the Iraqi government here. But of course, this country is still torn by strife. The violence has seen a dramatic upturn in recent weeks. In fact, on Friday, Zarqawi released an audio tape calling on Sunnis to rise up and attack Shiites. It's a call which some Sunnis, it seems, have taken note of, with a dramatic increase in escalation in violence, especially over the last week or so. So
John, I'm going to interrupt you again because while we talk, I'm going to introduce some pictures now. We're going to look at Iraqi domestic TV, al-Iraqi TV, where they are telling the story of what we know so far.
In front of the Iraqi people and to those who use violence, a message to all the Zarqawi supporters and those behind them, that the result waiting for them will be at the hands of the Iraqi people, and it will be a tragic one. today the Zarqawi has been killed. What happened today was the result of a cooperation. We have so many times asked our people to give information and to help the Iraqi security forces and the multi-international forces to strike. This is a message to all those who took violence as a path, to reconsider and to go back to their senses before it's too late. Since we have decided, and we will continue until we finish the course, until we get rid of all the terrorists.
وقواتنا العسكرية والأمنية ستمضي في طريق حماية مسيرتنا السياسية حتى نهاية المشوار.
We'll do protection to our process to the end.
عراق اليوم
Today's Iraq
هو العراق الذي اصطفت فيه كل القوى السياسية وأبناء المجتمع.
is Iraq that all the political forces and sons of the society
صفا واحدا لمواجهة الإرهابيين والمفسدين.
they stood in one line to face the terrorists and the corrupt ones.
وهذه الجبهة الجماهيرية والوحدة الوطنية
This popular front and national unity.
هي رهاننا في الحقيقة لمواجهة كل التحديات.
This is what in truth is to face all the challenges.
الحمد لله لقد أدرك جميع العراقيين
Thank God all the Iraqis realized
بأن الطريق الوحيد لإسعاد الشعب العراقي وسيادة العراق وازدهاره
the only way to make the Iraqi people happy and the prosperity of Iraq
هي بالوحدة والتماسك
is by unity
والبحث عن الأساليب الجدية في الحوار والمصالحة الوطنية.
and looking for real methods for national reconciliation.
لأن العراقيين جميعا في مركب واحد.
Because all Iraqis are in one boat.
ولا بد لهذا المركب أن يصل إلى شاطئ السلامة والسعادة إن شاء الله.
And this boat must reach to the beach of safety and happiness.
شكرا جزيلا لمواطنينا على خدماتهم.
Thank you very much for our citizens to their services
وتعاونهم.
and cooperation.
وشكرا لقواتنا المسلحة والشرطة العسكرية والجيش.
And I thank our military forces, military police and army.
وشكرا للقوات متعددة الجنسيات.
And thanks to multinational forces.
على ما تقوم به من دور رائد وكبير في مواجهة التحدي الإرهابي.
For what they do in a leading role in facing and challenging the terrorism.
وإلى انتصارات أخرى إن شاء الله.
The death of Abu Musab Zarqawi marks a great success
نجاحا باهرا
for Iraq
للعراق
and the global war on terror.
والعالم الأجمع في انتصاره على الإرهاب.
I congratulate General Casey,
وأهنئ الجنرال كيسي
who has been here now for 700 days.
والذي مضى على وجوده 700 يوم.
The forces that carried out this very vital operation.
وأعبر الشكر للقوات التي قامت بهذه المهمة.
Zarqawi was
إن الزرقاوي كان
the godfather of sectarian killing and terror in Iraq.
بمثابة العقل المدبر لأعمال القتل المذهبية في العراق.
Civil war within Islam.
حيث أعلن الحرب الأهلية من خلال الإسلام.
And a global war of civilizations.
والحرب على الحضارات العالمية. وأن منظمته تعد مسؤولة عن وفاة الآلاف من المدنيين في العراق والعالم أجمع. إن موت الزرقاوي لم ينهي أعمال العنف بالعراق في حد ذاته، إلا أنه خطوة في الاتجاه الصحيح. حيث أنه بشرى للعراقيين وحكومة رئيس الوزراء نور المالكي الجديدة، ولجهودنا الكاملة في إطار الحرب على الإرهاب. وأهنئ رئيس الوزراء المالكي. ستكون هنالك أيام صعبة بلا شك، ولكننا سنستمر العراقيين وقوات الائتلاف لمكافحة الإرهاب وأولئك الذين يريدون إفشال العراق. إلا أن اليوم يوم عظيم. وأدعو كافة مكونات الشعب العراقي وقادته السياسيين للتحلي بالمسؤولية لإنهاء كافة أعمال العنف الطائفية والمذهبية، ولكافة العراقيين التوحد خلف رئيس الوزراء المالكي. مرة أخرى شكرا جزيلا للجنرال كيسي، ويبارك الله العراق. صباح الخير.
I'll give you some of the broader operational details, but there'll be a full briefing at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
سأزودكم بتفاصيل العملية، ولكن هنالك إيجاز في الساعة 3 للعملية برمتها. قوات الائتلاف قامت بقتل زعيم الإرهاب أبو مصعب الزرقاوي وكافة العناصر المرتبطة به ومساعديه أبو عدنان في الساعة 6:15 من مساء يوم أمس.
This happened in an airstrike
حيث أن ذلك حدث من خلال ضربة جوية أحدثت في قاعدة منعزلة، حيث أن ذلك استنادا إلى معلوماتنا الاستخبارية وبلاغات العراقيين، حيث قامت قواتنا بمحاصرة الزرقاوي الذين كانوا محاصرته في مكان يبعد 8 كيلومترات من بعقوبة.
Well, because of the fact that we're taking this live from Iraqi television, the Arabic translator speaking over the top of General Casey there, making it very difficult to hear what he's actually saying. We'll pull away from that press conference for the moment and report details of it, of what General Casey was saying in a few moments here on CNN. In the meantime, I want to introduce once again Manita Rajpal, my colleague who's joined me here as we cover this significant breaking news out of Iraq. CNN's Christian Amanpour is with us too. What did you make of the fact that when Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki announced that al-Zarqawi has been killed in this bombing raid north of Iraq, that there was applause and cheers in the room there?
Well, you can imagine that people in Iraq have waited for this day for a long, long time. It's really a shame that we had to pull out of that because of the translation, because General Casey was just in the middle of giving some of the operational details. It appears that last night, some 8 kilometers, I think he said, north of Bakuba, a city north of Baghdad, there was some kind of joint US-Iraqi raid, and Musab al-Zarqawi was killed along with several aides. The applause reminds me of what happened when the Americans and Iraqi officials back in December 2003 announced that they had captured Saddam Hussein after such a long time on the road and on the lam. Look, this man has been the focus and the face of the most vile terrorism, beheadings, factional fighting, that kind of thing that has really rocked Iraq and brought the Iraqi experiment almost to a catastrophic failure in Iraq. So This is extremely good news for the US military in Iraq, for the people of Iraq, and for the possibility that it may be a turning point in trying to put this country back on some kind of path to stability.
But as the US ambassador to Baghdad was careful to point out there, that this is not going to end the insurgency.
Precisely. And they're very, very careful because, as you know, most of the turning points that we've had over the last several years, whether it was the capture of Saddam Hussein, whether it was the handover of sovereignty back to Iraq, whether it was the election of a sovereign Iraqi government, these have always been said to be the end. But there are more insurgents there, and many of them Iraqi nationalists. Let's go back to the presser now.
Success that we aim for is for the stability of Iraq. That needs a lot of effort by us. We have to work more and be vigilant. We can say that we have a very good start in order to form a national unity government. The cabinet will be finalized hopefully today, and the killing of the leader of terrorism in Iraq. These are big steps on the long path. There will be other steps that we need to take. So hopefully we will reach a happy ending that will fulfill the wishes of the Iraqi people. The second part of the question, the general case, is about, is this the final
As I said in my
effort?
statement, this is just a step in the process. It's a very important step.
إلا أن هذه خطوة تشكل خطوة في البداية. لكن هذا التنظيم لا يزال يشكل خطرا بالنسبة للعراقيين ولكل العراقيين. يجب أن يتوحدوا ضد الإرهاب.
من الNBC سؤال الجنرال
General Casey from NBC News, could you just walk us through some of the steps, some of the preparation that was
هل يمكنك تزويدنا ببعض التفاصيل والخطوات القادمة وما قمتم به من أجل التصدي لهذه العملية حيث أنكم قمتم بضم كافة القوات البرية والجوية. سأخبرك هذا المساء أن هذه العملية جاءت نتيجة لعملية طويلة تعتمد على المعلومات الاستخباراتية التي تلقيناها من العراقيين ومصادرنا الخاصة.
And it led us to this house and to this meeting.
والتي قادتنا إلى هذا البيت.
As I said, was attacked by an airstrike.
حيث قامت القوات الجوية بمهاجمة هذا المنزل.
You'll see the pictures this afternoon. It's a very isolated area. It was a single dwelling
هذا المساء
in a wooded area surrounded by
مكان مهجور ومكان
forest.
لا أحد فيه.
That's about all I want to say about the specifics of that.
هذا ما أودت قوله حتى الآن.
That's right.
المنطقة اللي بيها
The area where the house where Zarqawi was killed was in the Diyala district.
دولة الرئيس كم تعتقد بأن عملية قتل الزرقاوي ستؤثر على الجماعات التي لم
How would the killing of Zarqawi would influence the groups that did not take part in the political process? How would that influence their decision? What other steps are you going to take to integrate those who stayed outside the political process? There's no doubt that the killing of someone like Zarqawi, who's led a number of terrorist attacks, would give a huge boost to those who are fighting terrorism. And also this would send out a message to all those who believe that they can use criminals to serve their purpose. This will give a boost to the politicians and to the Iraqi people that the activities of Zarqawi will not derail the political process, and this will give a huge boost to continue with the political process. Terrorism has been the main hindrance to the political process. However, the political process has many aspects, including the reconciliation and continuing with the construction. Prime Minister, perhaps this news has overshadowed the news over the identity of the ministers of defense and the interior. Can we know the names of these ministers and which parties have endorsed them? There is almost a complete agreement to name the 3 ministries, and when we finish this press conference, we will go to the parliament in order to vote on the candidates, and you will know their names. Final question. Every time Zarqawi appear, we will fight the Zarqawi until we kill him. And as long as there are people following on his path, we will continue with our fight. We have said this is an open battle between us and against those who want to start a sectarian war. The Iraqi people have always been united, and they don't know sectarianism. As I said before, there have been cooperation, and we have received information from ordinary citizens. No, the security plan will continue to be effective. Observers have said that your cabinet is not expected to last more than 6 months because of the divisions. How would you comment? This is a pessimistic view. The Iraqi people, and through the political parties in parliament, are all united behind the government. This is not a sectarian cabinet. This is a national unity government that represents all sects of society and will continue with its task. The agreement has been reached, and hopefully the plan will be put into action very soon, and it will be referred to the security forces very soon. There were 7 people killed with Zarqawi.
I would only say that we are still excavating the site, and there may be more found.
بأننا لا نزال ننقب عن هذا الموقع.
هناك بعض الجثث الأخرى لا ستوجد. After the surgical step, how much is the trust or the confidence in the American government and in Maliki and his government?
Well, of course, as I have said repeatedly since the Prime Minister was nominated and confirmed that we will work with him as closely as possible to assist in always to make sure that Iraq succeeds, that Iraq can stand on its own feet. His success, his government success, is important for Iraq's success.
أن نجاح حكومته مهم.
Our success is the success
ونعتبره نجاحا لنا أيضا ونجاحا للعالم. ومعتمدا على مستقبل المنطقة برمتها، حيث أن ذلك سيشكل مستقبلا للعالم برمته أيضا، وأننا شركاء ويجب أن نتعامل مع التحديات التي نواجهها ونتمتع بعلاقات جيدة جدا.